Were you ever told as a kid you need to think of others more important than yourself? I was repeatedly told that, and it was conditioned into my mind. I also thought that thinking of myself was selfish. So that sort of thinking is what landed me in a relationship for 22 years that landed me in the psych ward twice. And I see it with other people, that sort of selflessness to that degree is first of all a misinterpretation of the Bible and is super unhealthy and can really allow people to be in a destructive situation or self-sabotaging themselves all the time. But what does the Bible really say about loving others more important than yourself? Well, in Luke 26:36 through 39, God gives the order of how we're supposed to love, and this order is super important. First of all, it says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then it says something very key. It says to love others as you love yourself. So really, the order isn't like love God, love others. The order is love God, love yourself, then love others. Super, super important. So let's talk about loving God. That can be really challenging for some of us that have experienced either religious abuse or have had abuse or religion used on us in a controlling way. And that's super important. Is first of all, in order to really love God, you have to understand who He is. And I think a lot of us think that God is like this whack-a-mole God that every time we do something wrong, it's like a pound. And that is really not what the Bible says He is at all. And so it's super important to know who He is. It's very interesting when you talk about like how He views women and how He views manipulation and control. You really see this in the life of Jesus. So Jesus said He was God in human form. So if we go off of that belief, then we can really see about who God is and how He loves. And it really talks about like He loves so completely and fully that He's willing to leave, like it says the parable of the 99 sheep, but He'll go for the one. Like He values each of us so individually. And it's very interesting, like while Jesus was on earth, His main complaint was about how people use religion for control and abuse. And I see it a lot today. I mean, that is what I had things said to me, like, think of others more important than yourself, that really led to some toxic situations. But also, like, God hates divorce and, submit to, your husband. Things like that are very destructive and really, if you look into it, are very misunderstandings of Scripture, and that's not okay. So first of all, like to love God, you really have to believe that He is a loving God. And then I think another thing that really makes it hard to love God is other people that claim to be Christians. Because if there's been hurt done by those people, then you automatically think, oh my goodness, I don't want nothing to do with them. Like the joke is like how to keep people from going to church and away from God is like have them meet a Christian. Because sometimes I think, the Christian culture, whatever, can be super judgmental and unloving. But if you look at what God says and who He is in the Bible, is so not true. I really just tell people, like, look for yourself. Look in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And just kind of try to like look at Jesus's character and how He treats others and how He treats women. It's very funny. There was this cartoon I saw just the other day. It has 3 women on one side and then Jesus and His 12 disciples on the other, and has Jesus saying, yeah, even though I've revealed to you first that I was the Messiah and you saw me resurrected first, the boys and I have got it now. And, if you think about that, it's like ridiculous because Jesus did. He revealed that He was the Messiah first to a woman, and that was the women, and also to a woman that was like living a lifestyle that was very judged in those days. I think she did like 6 husbands and was living with the guy. And that was the first one He revealed who He was. And, you see Him when He rose from the dead. The first one He, saw was a woman. I mean, He just values women so much. And if you look at the culture of the time, He was very much, not going with the culture of the time, which was fabulous. And I love that. So loving God and really just loving him with your whole being. It's not just like a intellectual, I love God. It's really loving him. And I think you really can't do that until you really experience his love. When you really experience he loves you, he's trying to communicate with you, he's trying to show you he loves you in even small, ridiculous ways that only you will get, and really opening your mind to being able to see that and feel it and experience it, along with, seeing, him in the Bible. So I just think that's super important. And then the second one, loving ourselves. Holy cow, that's a huge one. So a lot of people, when you think of like, how do you love yourself? Or what does loving others mean? So loving others, usually we think of like respecting, taking care of, being kind to. And then my question is are you doing that to yourself? And first of all, are you doing that in your internal world? Like, are you talking to yourself in kind, respectful, loving ways? Are you prioritizing yourself? I think it's super interesting because when it comes to loving ourselves, like if we had a childhood where we had adopted any ideas that we were unlovable or not enough, it can be really self-sabotaging as an adult because we're always trying to fill that void. But as adults, we can actually really, have compassion and love for our child version of ourselves and really do a lot of healing through that work. And that's really important. Would you like to start your Live Brighter journey with some free printable affirmation? There's nothing like reminding yourself of God's truth about you. Click the link below. But on the practical sense, loving ourselves. So let's talk about it. Being kind. I really see that with the self-talk, that we talk to ourselves, and we're talking to ourselves all the stinking time. I was reading a book, and it was so funny because she's like, yeah, we're actually having, we think we're having conversations with others, but we're actually having a conversation with ourselves, and they're having conversations with themselves, and sometimes we converse a little. So there's so much self-talk that we have going on in our heads, and being aware of that is very, very valuable because it really tells you what you believe, what you think, and all of that. It's not uncommon, I feel like, as women, especially in our culture, that seems to be really, the pushing a lot of things that aren't healthy. Like you need to be thinner, you need to be prettier, and all this stuff. And if we struggle with like a core belief as I'm not enough or anything like that, it can be really devastating. But the truth is, God says we are more than enough. Like we are all made more than enough. And we are fearfully and wonderfully made. That means we're made, he just absolutely loves us. So we are more than enough. And so treating ourselves and talking to ourselves with kindness is super important, and it takes time. It really takes time in order to start building that habit. But instead of being like, oh, I can't believe I was such a screw up, or I can't believe I did that, it's like, oh, I made a mistake and I can do better next time. It's a lot about reframing and just rethinking what we're thinking. For example, it's like, gosh, I just look horrible. Rather than that, it's like, gosh, I actually really like my teeth and I'm going to focus on that. Because what you focus on expands. So if you're always focusing on where you're not enough or where you're lacking or where you're not living to your highest potential, it really sucks. But if you're encouraging and kind to yourself, that is fabulous. And then we talk about respecting ourselves. So this was a big thing for me because I think with that, think of others more than you think of yourself, really caused me to respect others' thoughts, opinions, beliefs more than I respected myself. So what that landed in me is I basically became a functional codependent, where I was more caring and concerned as a kind girl as to other people's thoughts and their feelings and how they were, rather than how I was doing and how I was feeling. And I did not prioritize that. And by not prioritizing that, I wasn't respecting myself. And that caused a lot of challenges in my life, and 2 psych ward visits and a big 22-year learning lesson. So I think respecting ourselves is so invaluable. And then caring for ourselves. I think the caring part, I think of just like, not only with our, being kind in our words, but caring. And it's like, okay, prioritizing what I need. Like, do I need some time alone? Do I need, to have a break? Do I, just really thinking about this. And I have to laugh. I think the whole idea of like, oh, think of others more important than yourself comes from like, I think in general, we could be kind of, obviously more selfish. But if that gets too programmed into you, the problem is you're on the other extreme. Instead of being like selfish, you are selfless. And neither of those extremes are good. Like being able to love yourself, respect yourself, be kind to yourself, and negotiate for your needs is super valuable. And then the third thing, like God says, you love others as you love yourself. You start to love others with a full cup. And that's wonderful. And I think when you're treating yourself with that kind of love, you automatically attract like healthier relationships and healthier experiences. And there's just a joy that comes with just being able to enjoy yourself and being comfortable. I think something else that's really powerful is being able to feel your own feelings. Like, I think, a lot of us will do things to avoid feeling just like sad or unworthy or doing those things. And the most important thing you can do is to really feel your feelings. They won't kill you. They're vibrations in your body, and just allow yourself to really feel whatever feeling. Anger, like anger was like a forbidden emotion in my childhood growing up, and anger is an important emotion, just to feel it. And whatever it's disappointment, whatever you're feeling, because as you feel it, it has a way of processing. If you don't feel it, it has to come out somehow, and it's going to come out in not the best ways. So just allowing yourself to feel it, that is like a huge self-care thing to be able to do, is to really, instead of like telling I shouldn't feel this, I can't think that, just allow yourself. It's okay. You can feel it. You'll be fine. So, and then with all of that, you come to relationships with a full cup from that self love. And, big thing between like self love and arrogance. Arrogance is actually when you think you're better than someone else. And honestly, we're all equal. We're all amazing, wonderful. We all have different talents and qualities. We're all uniquely and wonderful. And we're equal. So it's not arrogant to love yourself in just a healthy, loving way. And it helps you add more to your life, helps you add more to the world. You have more love to give. You have more love for the relationships you're in. And that's why God gives the order. Like, love God fully, experience His love fully, and then love yourself, and then love others. And that is what leads to just such a happy, healthier life, more fulfilling, and just delighting in the small things. So that's what I've got for you today. If you want more information, you can go to livebrighterwithtara.info. Really, I just always say, just do a little bit, 1% every day. Be 1% kinder to yourself. Be 1% more supportive of yourself. Be 1% more caring of yourself. Just a little bit each day. And you will be amazed at how it can change your life. Have a great day and live brighter.